Hi! Circumcision is a topic that I have mentioned at least a couple times on my channel, and even though I haven't been circumcised, it's a topic that I have talked about and I will talk about as long as it's being done and it is legal. So today let's take a look at a mother's story. My son cried, "I want my foreskin back."
Richard, my 17-year-old, went through a long period of grieving the loss of his foreskin when he was around 5 years old. He saw other boys with theirs, he asked questions, which I answered honestly, and explained I was sorry and I would do it differently if I could. Richard cried many times, saying,
"I want my foreskin back."
All I could do was say, "I'm sorry, I wish I could give it back to you. If I knew then what I know now, I wouldn't have allowed them to do that to you."
You rarely hear these stories about how men or boys would like to have their foreskin back. And of course, some of these boys and men who have been circumcised want their foreskin back. When you and your child's father decided to cut his foreskin, didn't the idea cross your mind that maybe your son doesn't want you to cut a part of his penis away? And it could be done later in life when he is an adult.
It was a mistake. I'm sorry. It's understandable you'd want it back. It was part of your body. It's a terrible loss.
Yes, it was part of his body. His body, not yours. And not your husband's or boyfriend's or whatever. It was his body. And you just decided to cut it off. You know, there might be a reason why it is there.
I said, "I'm sorry" many times and held him while he cried, and affirmed his feelings, until finally he moved through it and accepted it. It took a long time, probably 6 months before he stopped bringing it up and crying about it. Maybe he'll have more grieving to do as an adult, but I think it was good to get that out when it came up for him. I was glad to be able to be there for him through his process.
So if you would have used your head, you would have saved yourself and your son of 6 months of crying and him being really upset.
It's one thing I was able to do, since I wasn't able to reverse my decision and give him his foreskin back. I made amends by being there for him in his feelings. That felt good for both of us.
Of course, it feels good for a young child that his or her mother is there for him. But I don't know if you made amends by being there for him because it's your job.
The interesting piece of this story is when I reflect on something I was told by people promoting circumcision. I heard numerous times by friends, family, and doctors, it's important for boys to be like their dad. It will affect their self-esteem, they will feel different, they will ask questions you will not be able to answer if they aren't circumcised like their dad.
Now this is just my opinion, but I think that this whole thing, boys want to be like their dads or need to be like their dads, is one of the most overrated things I can think of. And of course, people, whatever it is, if they're promoting that thing, they rarely talk about the bad side of the things or the negative side. So it's a good idea to look both sides, not just one.
Well, I had the opposite experience. Richard did not want to be like his dad. He wanted his foreskin back.
That's why I lost my toe. Because I called you fat.
I didn't mean to cut it off. It was an accident. I'm sorry. It wasn't your whole toe.
Yeah, well, I missed the tip. It's the best part. It has the nail.
Chandler.
Of course he does. Or at least I would if somebody would have cut mine off.
He's the one, not Barry, my second son, who asked questions that were difficult and painful for me to answer. Barry is uncircumcised, unlike both his dad and his big brother whom he adores and emulates in every way. Barry has never wanted to be circumcised like his dad or Richard. He has never felt different from them because of it. I think he would tell me. He is very open with his feelings. Barry noticed the difference and asked questions when he was younger. I explained why he wasn't circumcised and his dad and Richard were. It made sense to him. End of discussion, pretty much. It didn't take him 6 months of grieving to get to a place of acceptance. It took a few questions and simple answers. Barry likes his penis and his foreskin.
Oh my god. Barry likes his penis and his foreskin. I'm starting to think that maybe this Barry, your second son, is smarter than you are. Just think about how would you feel like if somebody would come to you and say, you know, I think about cutting a part of your vagina. What would you think about that? You would think that he's crazy, that you should call the police or something like that. Am I right? Yeah. But somehow it is acceptable for you to think about cutting a part of your son's penis. Do you see the double standard? And more on the double standard. Currently I'm working in a school with mostly 8th graders, 7th, 8th graders. So in my example, if I would sit in a teacher's lounge and if I had a son and I would talk about cutting a part of his penis off, I would think that not too many people would bat an eye and I wouldn't get fired for that. But even if in a same circumstance I would talk about cutting a part of my daughter's vagina, or even if I would talk about my daughter's vagina, I would probably get fired, maybe even arrested. Social workers would come and see if I'm a horrible dad who abuses her, his daughter. So couldn't we just make this circumcision illegal for boys who are under the age of 18? Parents, you think you always know best, but sometimes you don't. And sometimes you need to let your children live their lives as they like to. So stop cutting your son's penises, god damn it. Anyway, thanks for watching. Bye.